Trump is president. Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And today for you guys is another Marvel movie review. Today we're tackling Ant-Man 3, aka Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. This is my first time seeing this one on Blu-ray. I got this on Christmas and oh boy. Anyway, before we get into it, if you want to, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new. It's free. Takes a second. Really helps your boy out. Anyway, yeah, so this movie kind of is like the ultimate. I don't want to say the ultimate. Like, Marvel has been memed on before, but this movie really got jacked up, like, with memes. I mean, you know, obviously you get Kang, now that he's out. You get MODOK with the weird baby face. You get the horrible CGI moments, the crazy lines. And yeah, look, I'll be straight up. This might be my favorite, personally, Ant-Man film, okay? It's the most fun, it's visually stunning at times, it looks beautiful at times, it's funny, it's got really good action, it's probably the darkest Ant-Man film, but I like all three of these movies. It might be, you know, it's not my favorite MCU trilogy, but Ant-Man was good, right? Really good, like a heist movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp, really good. Maybe the worst, in my opinion, just in terms of personal enjoyment. And then this one, of course, you get like, some, you know, crazy bombastic stuff going on. But yeah, obviously this movie got memed. You know, a lot of things that kind of, you know, were promised to happen never came to fruition, obviously, with Jonathan Majors. Now look, I'm not going to get into the whole thing. I heard at first he beat the crap out of his girlfriend in the middle of the street, and then it turns out he didn't. I don't know. I really don't care. He is not in Marvel anymore, which is a shame, because I think he actually did a good job, you know, obviously as, what is it, He Who Remains or whatnot in Loki Season 1. He is in Loki Season 2 from what I understand. I haven't seen it yet. I'll get to it. But of course he is kind of, you know, playing Kang the Conqueror in this, which this movie was supposed to set up him as, you know, basically the next effing Thanos, right? The next massive big bad guy in the MCU in the multiverse saga and just in, you know, this franchise going forward. Obviously, it didn't end up happening because now we're getting Doctor Doom. But still, you know, I do think that what we see of Kang in this is good. And obviously they didn't know at the time what would happen with that guy and with all this court crap. And, you know, so I get it. But I do think Kang is one of the better villains we've seen in the MCU in a while. I think he's intimidating. He's got a pretty cool backstory. I think he's got, you know, really badass powers. But yeah, he is just a cool villain, right? He's someone that you love to hate and just root for as a bad guy. He has a lot of good presence to him. I like the uniform, the costume. I think that Jonathan Majors is a good actor in this. You know, we'll get to another actor who's not as good. But I think that, you know, in this, you know, there's a lot of good, I guess, face acting. You know, like he's making all these crazy, weird-looking emotions when he's getting mad and all that. And, you know, sometimes it's a bit like, I don't know if you make that face in real life, but yeah, like he's pissed off, he's Kang, he's a conqueror, he's a killer, he's whatever. And I think it works. You know, I think so. He does a pretty good job. Ant-Man and the Wasp, obviously, Janet and Hope. Everyone, they're really great. You know, obviously, you know, the writing for them and the acting and all that is pretty good. But yeah, I mean, as far as negatives, I guess we'll just kind of get those out of the way before I praise this film. So look, the visually stunning moments that I mentioned, it's hard to say this without like saying it's weird or it's not good, but this movie had, from what I understand, like the Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, you know, the Star Wars Disney Plus volume set or whatever to make it look like, you know, extra crispy and make it pop more. And it looks fine. You know, like 90% of this movie, 98% of this movie looks effing beautiful. Straight, like, you know what I mean? Like, we went from freaking Scott in like a house and then a van to, you know, in the middle of the street, and now he's in the quantum realm, right? And the quantum realm looks amazing. It's basically like Star Wars, right? You got a lot of visually stunning locations in the quantum realm. Lots of really good, like 90% of it can look like a painting, right? It looks really great, like visually stunning. Basically 98-99% of the time. It looks really freaking good. And then you get, of course, the character designs and the aliens and the weird creatures and all that, and that all looks really good. The blasters and the, you know, I couldn't name either names, but the girl from Andor's in that. She's like a freedom fighter. You get the weird glob guy that loves having holes. It's a whole thing. But I think that, you know, there is a lot of visually striking material within the environment and within the character designs. This movie feels like a bigger version of Ant-Man, you know what I mean? Like metaphorically and physically. Like, this is a bigger movie in terms of the scope and the scale. You know, there are moments, especially the final act, where it feels like you're watching an Avengers Endgame style fight scene. You know, like there's shit happening everywhere, and there's buildings exploding, and blasters are being shot, and people are running around stabbing and kicking and punching, and, you know, Ant-Man's or Giant Man's over there picking up Kang, and there's a bunch of ants. It's almost visually too much, where it can, you know, kind of come off as visual noise in the fact that it's just like, oh man, it's just, you know, constant stream of lights and colors and shit. You know, basically a a toddler would love this movie. It's not, it's for teenagers and adults, but if you put this in front of a little kid, he's going to go crazy because there's so many lights and colors. It's insane. But yeah, I mean, 99%, like I said, most of the visuals look really great. Okay, the movie genuinely and generally does look good. The bad thing is that the outlying moments, which of course, internet culture and Twitter and all that has effectively memed on, that's not too great. I mean, that's the part that's kind of wonky. So yeah, let's talk about MODOK, okay? MODOK looks fine, okay? I know, it looks really effing weird, okay? It's in my thumbnail even. It looks weird, okay? I get it. But if you've read a single effing comic book in your entire life, or played Lego Marvel, or played, he's probably in a Marvel fighting game, you watched the MODOK animated show with the stop motion clay thing. A lot of this does look accurate, right? Like MODOK does look like how he's supposed to look, right? When he has the armor on, he looks cool, I guess. Then he takes the armor off, and yeah, it's Darren from Ant-Man 1, which is a cool connection. I like that. But it's also really interesting that they decided to go with that, right? Like the MCU has gotten, closer to using more comic accurate suits and material and stuff like that. Like, you look at Deadpool and Wolverine. Wolverine's in the effing yellow mustard looking suit, and it looks freaking great. You know what I mean? So the MCU clearly does not have an issue with making comic accurate designs. But sometimes it looks a little bit wonky, right? But again, that's comic books. So on a visual standpoint, there's nothing wrong with MODOK. He's supposed to look like a big-ass baby. That's the point. That's how he's supposed to look. People, I think, 50% say it's stupid baby. 50% are the other people going, oh, that looks really weird. Because, yeah, our human brains, ever since basically the dawn of time, the dawn of us, we have been essentially, programmed in a way to recognize human faces, right? If something looks a little bit wonky, it triggers our brain, even if you don't notice it, it triggers our brain into saying and thinking, this looks wrong. You know what I mean? Something's maybe not bad, but it looks different, right? It's triggering something in my little baby brain that I'm like, oh, that looks a little bit different. And yeah, MODOK, I can tell it is, they probably took photo scans of the Darren actor and they did all this crazy computer stuff. But yeah, when he talks, his lips look a little bit blurry. And, obviously, it is 99% CGI, but yeah, it's a technical effing feat. It's like the She-Hulk show. She-Hulk looks amazing. She's hot, but amazingly built, in that show. There's one or two moments where she's not stellar looking, but, a lot of the time She-Hulk looks really, really great. Same thing here, right? MODOK looks like it is a technical marvel, this movie. Not just the backgrounds and the designs, but the character models and MODOK, right? So, yeah, it does look a little bit wonky from time to time. Is it downright horrible and, is it like the Shark Boy and Lava Girl meme? No. Shark Boy and Lava Girl is objectively a poorly made film because it's Shark Boy and Lava Girl. Not much thought went into it, right? So this, you obviously know that you got the best of the best working on this shit, and obviously you've got Guardians 3, Black Panther 2, which will be the next one. You just have a lot of CGI guys working on a million things at once. You get the shows as well, so yeah, the CGI guys are pretty strapped in terms of what they're able to work on and the money and all that. So MODOK, I really don't have a lot of issues with it. It does look wonky because, again, our brains pick up on the fact that it's not a real human face. You look at Indiana Jones in the Dial of Destiny, right, in the beginning of that movie, it looks photoreal. It looks amazing. But our brains still go, okay, something's off. Luke Skywalker in the Book of Boba Fett is, in my opinion, the best de-aging I've ever seen in my entire life. I didn't really have any issues with that one. Nothing was triggering my brain, so I guess they worked on that one. But a lot of the times, it looks a little bit wonky. But in terms of really actually bad CGI, we got to talk about Ant-Man and his daughter, Cassie. We'll get to Cassie's acting in a minute. But in terms of the CGI, it's really weird because you get these beautiful vistas and incredible backgrounds, really artistic choices being made in the Quantumania. It looks like a painting. Looks great, right? And then you see Ant-Man, Scott Lang, actually, become an Ant-Man, and he's doing his Ant-Man things, and it looks really freaking bad. Okay, I get it. You got a million guys working on, one thing, a million guys working on another thing, and then you go, okay, make it look good, right? I don't know, I'm not a CGI guy, but make it look good. And yeah, 99% of it looks really great. But for some reason, the one part they skimped on, or didn't effing double check or whatever, is when they become frickin' Ant-Man. Because some of it does look a bit wonky, right? Like when Ant-Man's going tiny to big, and he's like punching a guy or whatever, the animation looks a little ropey. When Cassie goes into her Ant-Man form and she's running, for some reason, they didn't just shoot her running normally and then just scale her. I guess it looks CGI all the way, because like the way she runs like this. It's really weird, like the running animation. You've seen the meme. It's a goddamn joke all over the internet. Maybe not anymore, but it was. And yeah, it just looks really, really bad. I get it, right? It's one shot. It's like, I don't know how many frames, but it's a very quick thing, right? But for some reason, that didn't get the love it deserves compared to a beautiful backdrop. You know what I mean? And I get it. We as humans, maybe not me, but or probably not you, I don't know. But people tend to over-exaggerate the negative and go, oh, that looks really, really bad, actually. When in actuality, you know, this movie has far more positives than it does negatives. People are just drawn to the negatives. And with that being said, yeah, I'm not going to lie. There are some negatives, right? The MODOK, sometimes, a little bit wonky. The writing, we'll get to that. But in terms of the rest of the bad CGI, yeah, really weird choice that they decided to make the actual Ant-Man, you know, small. The big giant man stuff, that looks fine. But when you're getting to the, you know, small Ant-Man people, it's just, I know it's quick, right? It's very fast stuff. Like, when they're Ant-Man, for some reason, I think this movie forgot it was an Ant-Man movie. It doesn't really feel like an Ant-Man film, which is another thing in and of itself. But yeah, the CGI for the most part, like, to wrap this part up, looks fine most of the time. When it doesn't, is really when it should look good. And I think, you know, these little quick moments that get dogged on online really could have been fixed up and you know, better. I know I'm not a CGI dude, but like, come on, work on it a little bit better. What are you guys doing? The writing, okay? The writing for the most part is good, okay? I think the jokes land. I think, you know, everyone's written pretty good. I like how Kang's written. I like how Hope has something to do. I like how, you know, everything kind of happens in this film. I like the plot. That's all good. But when it comes to Cassie, right, they had the little girl, whoever her name was, in the first two, and she was a good child actor. She's fine. And then in Avengers Endgame, I want to say, there's that one shot or that one scene where Scott visits Cassie, and she, you know, she's an adult now, and it's a really tender, beautiful, sad moment. And the actress playing adult Cassie in that movie is in one effing scene, and she has more range than Cassie in this goddamn movie. It's insane. I don't know why they recasted her, because yeah, Catherine Newton, I think, yeah, she's hot, right? Obviously. Maybe that's why they got her. She's an attractive woman. But at the same time, she has the effing acting ability of a plank of wood. It's like the Star Wars prequels on meth, you know, or on death sticks. You know what I mean? There's a lot of moments in the prequels where the acting just isn't good at all, especially from Padme in the first movie and a little bit in the second. She just kind of blankly stares at shit like, look, here he comes. And it's like, okay, take two, but no, you didn't do that in our CGI, you know. But it's really weird. Like 90% of this movie, Catherine is just, or Catherine, yeah, Cassie, Catherine, whatever. She's just standing there. You know, there's this big explosion and crazy stuff is happening in the quantum realm, right? She went from her house to the quantum realm where you get, it's literally like hell. You know what I mean? Beautiful hell, but hell. And stuff's going insane, and there's, you know, a million lights and colors and flashing things, and people are shooting at you and trying to kill you, and she's just like, oh wow, yeah. Dad, look out! Oh my God, you need to come fight for us really quick. We need to get going. Let's go. Oh my gosh, Dad! Wow, I'm sorry, Dad. I love you. You see what I did there? Zero effing emotion. That's pretty much how it is. Maybe there's one or two scenes or shots where she's, you know, lifting an eyebrow or something, but really, I genuinely don't know why they picked her. She's not good. She's very much not good in this film. It's been a while since I've watched something Marvel, MCU related specifically, where I'm like, oh, the acting isn't great. But yeah, she's really wooden. She's not a good actor. I don't know why they picked her. Horrible choice. I get it. She's attractive, but she's not good to do the job, right? It's like that DEI, whatever. Pick someone that can actually do your job, not someone who, I don't want to hurt their feelings, I gotta hire them, you know, and then they blow the building up, you know. Pick somebody who can do the goddamn job right. And they didn't, she couldn't do that. Also, like I said, going back to the writing, I think it's good, right? Kang's written well. I like the suspense. I like that they're in the quantum realm. I like all the cool stuff that happens. It looks great. That action's fine. I like that, right? But obviously, you know, the one scene that everyone poops on is, of course, MODOK, right? MODOK gets kind of a character arc in a way, right? He goes from being Darren to being Yellow Jacket to being shrunken down and deformed into MODOK. And then, of course, in the end, he has this kind of revelation where he's just trying to kill Cassie and trying to kill Ant-Man, and he's evil, and he's working for Kang. And he gets kind of jacked up when Cassie turns big and punches him and all that, and basically kills him almost. And you get this really effing weird exchange where, like, you know how Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi, it's an objective fact. Luke has one of the best character arcs in all of Star Wars. It's an amazing arc. It's why Luke Skywalker is my favorite character in all of fiction. Literally because of the sequels. It's a beautiful thing. That's good character writing. But then you get MODOK, who, you know, I get it. He's supposed to be funny. He's a joke. I get it. But, you know, he's like, I'm a dick. And then it's like, oh, funny, he said a word. And then Cassie's like, it's never too late to stop being a dick. I'm like, why do you have to keep... They said the word dick like 8 times. And I'm like, it's weird. It's not funny. It's just a very odd writing thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's a million things in the world that... what the heck's her name? Cassie could have told MODOK, right? And she goes, it's okay. Don't be a dick. I'm like... I get it, you want your cheap laugh, but like, and then of course, they do it again, where MODOK like attacks Kang and Kang's little blue shield bubble, and he's like, my name's Darren and I'm not a dick! I'm like, oh my god, like, you gotta stop, you know what I mean? I don't know, genuinely, I don't understand who approved that line. Yeah, it's a big effing meme online, but for a good reason, okay? I agree with the internet on this one. It's really shit writing. It was funny the first time, but then it just kept going and going, and his entire character arc was basically devolved to a dick. Like, I don't like that, you know what I mean? That's not good character writing. That's just a cheap laugh, and then nothing happens, and then he dies. It's like, alright, cool. And then he, you know, touches Scott's face, and it's funny, but it's like, alright. Like, he was a interesting character in the first Ant-Man, and then they made him a little more interesting when he was MODOK, and then they just divulged his character, which could have been better, into just he's saying words. You know what I mean? I really don't understand that choice. Kind of weird. But other than those negatives I had with a few writing things, a few CGI things, a few acting things, I think this is personally, again, my favorite Ant-Man movie. I love the action, I love the world building, I like the character arcs of some of the other characters, I like the mystery of Kang and Hope and how that's kind of, you know, how they're kind of playing off each other. I like the Bill Murray cameo is kind of funny. I like the weapons and the different world building they have. Like I said, the crazy effects and the spaceships and the lasers and the weird aliens and all that. You know, I like that they're doing like a little quantum realm war. I like that they kind of set up Kang as this, you know, massive, maybe even more dangerous than Thanos type threat. Obviously, people are also kind of mad that Kang, you know, this is supposed to be like the main Kang. He got killed or defeated by a bunch of ants. People don't forget, or people do forget, that these ants are not just the brain-dead ants you see in some of the other Ant-Man films. These are like stupid, crazy, smart ants. Like, these ants are smarter than human ants. And obviously, I get it. You know, there's a million things that are going to happen, and they chose to do this. I don't think, again, we shouldn't base media on what we wanted. We base it on what we got. And what we got, I think, works because they did a good job explaining how smart these ants are with the beginning of the film, and of course what happens here at the end. Yeah, you know, I get it. It is a little bit weird to kill your next major bad guy off in this film, but obviously there are going to be a million more Kangs and different multiversal things and different, you know, strings being attached, so to speak, and all that. So a lot of stuff happening that could have been set up, and obviously, you know, shit happens in real life, and now we got Dr. Doom played by Robert Downey Jr. again, so that should be interesting. I don't know how they're going to go about that. Again, I have not seen Loki Season 2. I'm going to wait until I get to that shortly with my review series. I actually ordered the Blu-ray, so hopefully that should be coming in, hopefully, by the end of this month, which should be good timing. But anyway, yeah, I think that they did a good job with Kang and all that. I thought it was, you know, well done. A few negatives here or there, you know, more than what I wanted. Upon rewatch, it is more entertaining and more fun than what I remember. All I remembered from this movie was the memes, the MODOK and the dick line, and just horrible CGI where she's running like this. And yeah, those are objective failures, right? Like, those are actual errors in this film. So it's going to be knocked down a few pegs. But personally, I had a good time with it. Objective speaking, yeah, this film has some issues, okay? It's not perfect. Is it the best made Marvel movie ever? No. But is it as bad as the internet says? I don't think it is either, but it does have some definite issues. So I'm going to give Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. Let's see, I'll give it a B-. How about that? It's still good, and I still had a great time with it. But again, some of these issues, especially the CGI stuff, that easily could have been fixed up. You know, they spent so much time on the backgrounds, and you know, the really quick shots of her running, it looks like a CW show from like The Flash or Supergirl. Not to shit on those, I love DC, but you know, the budget just isn't there in those CW shows. And to see that here, just kind of weird that they, like, where's your time going? You know what I mean? Kind of odd. Again, a few writing choices which are kind of weird. The new cast is just, in my opinion, a very bad actor. I don't think she does a good job at it. Maybe she's good at other things, but she wasn't effing good in this. I know this movie is a little bit hard to digest at first, especially for the actors and the viewers, because, you know, especially when they get in the quantum realm, a lot of this, for me at least, was like, oh, it's fun, and it looks great, but they're just looking in front of a green screen or the volume the whole time. You know what I mean? Like a 99. This is essentially an animated movie. I mean, that's what, you know what I mean? That's what it is. Like, CGI is animation. That's what it is. So this is essentially Lion King 2019, in that it looks photoreal sometimes, but it's in fact CGI, aka animation. And that's not to say it's bad, but it does take you out of it a little bit when you know that, oh, these actors are just, you know, look at, oh, wow, look at that, oh my god, wow, and they're just looking at nothing, you know what I mean? I get it, that's acting, but maybe that's the reason why she wasn't that great in this movie, because they're saying, look at that big effing monster, it's throwing a building at you, freak out now, and she's just looking at the sky or like a green box, and she has to go, ah, you know, I get it. So acting's not the easiest thing in the world, but I feel like she could have done a better job with this. So all in all, B-. I think it's fair for this film. This is not the train wreck you've been told it is, where, you know, everyone's saying it's the worst thing ever made. Pretty much everything Marvel now is the worst thing ever made, except if you're Deadpool and Wolverine, which is apparently Marvel's not dead. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I do like this movie. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I bought it, so I mean, I had to like it to some degree. But I think it's a fun time. A few issues here or there, but I think it, you know, it sets up some important stuff. Which we're not getting, I guess, but they tried, right? And I think that, you know, it's pretty cool. Also, we got really quick. We got to talk about the ending. The ending is absolute shit. Okay, it's bad because Scott goes and he gets this cake, right? And it looks really bad. And the Baskin Robbins guy is like, oh, I made it myself. I haven't made a cake since 1997. And then he goes to the, you know, Scott's having these doubts, and he goes to eat with his daughter, like a fake birthday scenario. And he bites into the cake, and he's like, oh, and then it just cuts to credits. And I literally sat there being like, huh? I was confused. I didn't laugh. I was like, what the hell was that? Why? Is the cake poisoned? Is it a bad tasting cake? Is he mad that he's back in the... Like, there's a million things that could have happened. And you know what I did? I Googled it. I went into Google and I typed in, why did Scott freak out after eating the cake in Quantumania? And guess what? Other people had the same effing question. So yeah, apparently this was like a reshot ending, but it's a very awkward and weird and kind of abrupt ending. I think they wanted it to be like a funny joke, but 90% of this movie is not funny. It's the most serious Ant-Man film, so to kind of end on that with like a existential dread of, wait, did we win? And then he just eats cake and he doesn't like it. Like, I don't know, it didn't really work for me. I guess other people didn't like that ending as well. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird. But, yeah, other than that, you know, there's some things that could have been changed and fixed. You know, and the fact that me, you know, 26-year-old franchise fanatic over here can recognize these issues, and, you know, the multi-billion-dollar executives don't, I don't know what that means for movies. I guess they're just stupid or blind or something. You know, if you and I can pick apart these movies and see these glaringly in-your-face errors, and the guys making the movie can't, I don't know, you know what I mean? I get it. Every single movie ever made, even my favorite movie, which I believe is genuinely perfect, has an issue, okay? Every movie has an issue. No film is objectively perfect, but there are some issues in this where I feel like they could have just taken a second glance and be like, oh, that's bad, let's fix that, or let's give more attention to that, or let's give more time to that, whatever. Anyway, I'm done talking about it, but I had a good time with it, and I think I'll be B-. It's a pretty good score. But anyway, tell me down below in the comments what you think about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And out of the 3 Ant-Man films, what's your favorite? For me personally, it would go Quantumania, Ant-Man 1, Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is the second one. And yeah, next is going to be Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. It's going to be hard to watch a 2 hour 40-minute long movie or whatever, close to 3 hours. With school, I wake up every morning at 6. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying I'm dead-ass tired if I watch a 2.5 hour long movie or whatever. So I might have to wait for a weekend or whatnot. I'm filming this on a Wednesday, so who knows. But anyway, yeah, I can't wait to watch that one. And then we got Guardians 3, and then we'll see what happens from there. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this review. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.